Professional wrestling is the one true sport. Other sports have their share of intense, dramatic moments, but nothing can compare with professional wrestling. Welcome to Wrestling History X, where three friends come together to talk about the stories behind the matches. I'm Matt.
I'm Mikey Mist.
And I am Super Shane.
Welcome to episode 235, Wrestling World 1997.
No tagline.
If there is one, it's in Japanese.
Yeah, like lost in translation.
Yeah.
But we're in 1997.
Who'da thunk it?
The year I turned 20. Oh, the glory days.
I started driving a car this year.
I did not do either of those things. I was I guess probably in 7th grade, I think.
Dang.
Or no, maybe 6th grade.
Maybe 12?
Probably. I don't know. I just know that everything is either
How old are you now?
pre or post 9/11. It's like, well, 9/11 happened when I was like a freshman.
2001.
Yeah, freshman in high school, I guess. It sounds right. Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it sounds correct. So I'm just working it backwards.
I was general manager of a restaurant at the time, so
I was high in art class.
high at work.
Some things never change.
Staring at a TV.
All my customers that called me were high. So, because I was doing direct TV.
Direct TV sales or phone calls.
Yeah.
Back then, yeah. I mean, possibly still today. I don't know. I'm gonna guess it's all on the World Wide Web.
Yeah, I bet if anybody has direct TV, it's just because they live in the middle of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, all right, well, this is the best we're gonna get. Anyway.
This was the first Wrestling World produced by New Japan Pro Wrestling and Big Japan Pro Wrestling. But it's the second annual Wrestling World overall. The previous 1996 was a Wrestling World as well. It would take place on January 4th, 1997.
So it has to be?
Tokyo Dome in Tokyo, Japan, with an attendance of 62,500. And as Michael's kind of insinuating, New Japan basically always holds a big show on January 4th, and this is actually their 6th annual one.
Oh, okay. I mean, I didn't know exactly how long they've been doing it. I'm sure we've covered all of them.
Yeah.
I just couldn't pick a number because they didn't start really officially numbering them probably until they started calling it Wrestle Kingdom.
Yep. And we're still 2005-ish, I think, is when the first Wrestle Kingdom was.
Yeah, what was the last one?
I think it was 18.
18, yeah.
It was either 18 or 19.
Yeah,
so I think it's 2005, 2004, something like that.
Nice.
When they changed it to Wrestle Kingdom. We still get a few more names in between Wrestling World and
I bet.
Wrestle Kingdom.
Wrestling World's not the greatest name for a show. It's fine. Passable.
Yeah, it sounds more like a wrestling tabloid or...
Yeah, like a Bill Apter mag.
Yeah.
I mean,
Maybe.
there's a chance Bill Apter was there.
I believe it.
Our boy Dave was probably there.
Probably.
Everything's half a star better in the Tokyo Dome. But we are in Tokyo.
Yeah, we are.
So to start us off, 1997, did you do what you do?
I did do what I do. Yes, we are back in Tokyo, back in Japan, here for Wrestling World 97. And it's been a while since I've gone to this place. I think the last Tokyo show, actually, so maybe not that long, but long enough for me to need more.
Maybe a full canonical year in podcasting. Who knows?
Yeah.
It was only a couple months ago for podcast-wise, because it was G1.
Yeah, that's true. We did do G1,
okay. Yeah,
could have been a G1.
Hasn't been as long as I thought, but here we are. We're starting the new year off right, or at least I think we are. Ling's Cakery here in Oklahoma City. The last time I went there, I brought their Japanese cheesecake, which was this big, fluffy, delicious, powdered sugar topped fruit topped, not so sweet, just delicious cheesecake. I saw they had a full pastry case full of other things, so I had to go back and see what all those other things were. And I stumbled upon a couple, well, I shouldn't even say a couple. There's like an entire pastry case full of different flavors of a mill crepe. The name comes from mille, M-I-L-L-E, which means, I guess, 1,000 in French. It's a many-layered crepe cake. The mill crepe cake is a Japanese dessert made from stacks of ultra-thin pancakes layered with deliciously sweet fillings like cream and fruits. I asked the gentleman in the chef's jacket behind the counter what flavors I needed to try for my first time of trying them, and he suggested that chocolate and strawberry are two of their more popular flavors. They also had some other ones in there. There was a mango one, there was a peach one, there was a dragon fruit or passion fruit or something like that in there. There was one that was a durian.
Oh, the stinky fruit.
Yeah, that one I was kind of curious about, but then I was like, no, just in case it sucks.
Yes,
I don't want to spend $9 on a slice.
I also haven't had the actual fruit.
Yes.
So it's like, I don't even know what to
expect
or compare to. Yeah.
The reactions I've seen from durian, just, they don't sound very good. They don't look very good as you know, people throwing up on TV. So
if you ever
swerved away
think
from
about hitting the Asian market and buying one, let me know before you bring it into my home. We'll eat it on the back porch.
There we go. We'll eat it across the street, just on the curb.
Yeah. We'll need the open air.
But yep, Ling's Cakery. If you're ever in Oklahoma City, this cake, I took pictures of both of them, and just the number of layers. There's at least 30 layers of crepe with, you know, on each one. The strawberry one had a really light strawberry flavor. It was almost more buttery than it was sweet. And then some sort of a little, I don't know what that was on top, like a matcha gel type stuff on the top of it.
Like a thin layer of kind of like a, what's the stuff they use to decorate cakes that doesn't taste very good? Fondant.
Yeah.
It's like a very thin but it didn't, fondant has a particular poor taste. This did not. It was just kind of a texture thing.
The chocolate one, I described it as kind of almost a tiramisu type taste, just without the coffee flavor to it.
You know what it tastes like to me? It's not in a bad way, but it tastes like cheap chocolate ice cream.
Yeah. I can totally see that.
Yeah, but just with like a better texture or whatever.
And then
it's not obviously not, you know, nearly as cold.
Pudding skins in between.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ling's Cakery. Give it a shot if you're ever in Oklahoma City. Hearing it on the microphone, taking a bite won't really work, so I'm going to see if this whole put the cake up to the microphone and fork through it if we can hear anything, because, you know, why not? So here we go. 1, 2, let's do this. No, talk with my mouth full, because that's what I do.
I feel like it's a good summer dessert, because it's not too heavy. It's similar to that cheesecake, where it's like, oh, normally you eat a piece of cheesecake and you feel like you ate a piece of cheesecake. I smashed 2 slices of this cake and feel fine.
Now that you said that about the ice cream thing, that's what I'm tasting. It's like a fudge pop.
Oh yeah, yeah, or like the little cups you'd get at a birthday party.
Yep.
Yeah.
With the wooden spoon.
Well, something that would happen right around the same time as Wrestling World 97, Jackie Chan's First Strike would be released to theaters the next week.
Is this a Super Cop 4? Or, I mean, Police Story 4?
It's Police Story 4.
Yeah.
And in America, it was called
First Strike.
Jackie Chan's First Strike. But
Take it away, fellas.
Japan, it was...
I haven't seen it.
I worked at Blockbuster when it came out, and I remember the cover box, but...
I like Jackie Chan a lot.
I wasn't much of a Jackie Chan fan at the time, and didn't really know all that much of his stuff, so I just kind of skipped over it until...
I can vouch for Police Story 1 through 3. Incredible. I imagine that if 1 through 3 stayed strong, 4 is probably pretty good too.
Gotta look and see what Jackie Chan movie I watched first.
Rumble in the Bronx, probably. My cushion!
I was going to say, isn't that the first American
It might be.
one, or at least the one they brought over here?
Yeah, it played on television a lot too. Rumble in the Bronx rules. It was the one with the hide the drugs or the money in the kid's wheelchair or whatever.
So, I mean, unless you were into, like, kung fu movies, then you probably didn't see Drunken Master
No, I mean I've seen Drunken Master, but that was like in high school,
until after you got to know who Jackie Chan was through Rumble in the Bronx and First Strike and even Rush Hour, of course. Everyone's seen Rush Hour.
Oh,
yeah.
Let's see.
Actually, never seen Rush Hour. I take it back.
I've never seen Rush Hour.
Yeah, I saw parts of it on TV as a kid, but I never saw it. Every time I say that, people are like, "What the hell?" I do like Jackie Chan. Don't think I don't. I watched the new Turtles movie, and he does the voice of Splinter in it. That was cool because the couple times that they animate him fighting or whatever, they have him fight in a very Jackie Chan-esque style where he's like using a rolling chair and whatever stuff's around him. So it still has like the comedic tone of a Jackie Chan choreographed fight.
Jackie Chan was offered the role of Simon Phoenix in Demolition Man. That went to Wesley Snipes.
Oh, wow. That's a weird...
But at the time, he was basically the most popular action movie star in Asia and Europe.
Yeah, so it's like, okay, well, even if, no matter how this movie does here, we'll recoup our costs in other markets.
Yeah, because basically his films, up until January of 95, I'm looking at this here, films had grossed over almost $500 million US.
Damn.
I can't see Jackie Chan playing... Like, he's a badass, but not like a badass the way Wesley Snipes is in, like, Demolition Man. It'd be weird.
So I remember reading or hearing that Everything Everywhere All at Once, he was originally written as the lead for that one and then had to back out or something like that, so they rewrote it for Michelle Yeoh.
I mean, that's possible.
Yeah, it's definitely possible. Michelle Yeoh is in the third Police Story movie with him.
And then she got a spin-off in Super Cop 2. So she's, I mean...
Yeah, she made a shitload of Kung Fu movies, obviously.
Yeah.
It's crazy that of the two of them only made one movie together. It's pretty wild, because they do such a good job in that one.
And it just makes me wonder, had he stayed in Everything Everywhere All at Once, would it have won the Oscar for Best Picture, and would he have been nominated and possibly won Best Actor?
Who knows?
But then if he wouldn't have...
Maybe not.
I think she was going to be his sidekick or wife or whatever, and the storyline would have reversed to where we wouldn't have had Short Round making his return to Hollywood and winning an Oscar and making the Goonies legacy that much greater.
It would be a lot weirder if, like, the main character in that movie was a angry old man instead of an angry old lady. Wouldn't it? It'd just feel kind of weird. Where he's just like constantly belittling his wife. That would be definitely a different movie.
Jackie Chan's actually teaming up with John Cena to star in a film called Hidden Strike. It comes out this year.
I was gonna say I'm surprised they haven't done anything yet because John Cena speaks like fluent Mandarin, and he even apologized for saying that Taiwan was a place because China was very mad at him.
Well, I guess
he referred to Taiwan as Taiwan, and then he made an apology video to China. It's fucking wild.
It released to Netflix back in July.
Oh,
Hidden Strike. That's
so you can go out there and watch it right now.
Not me. I canceled Netflix because it stinks.
It did receive negative reviews from critics, but it's John Cena and Jackie Chan. I don't think you're going for a masterpiece of film.
If it's 90 minutes and at least moderately fun, it probably pairs well with weed.
It's 102 minutes.
Oh, everything's too long these days.
Yeah. But I mean, that gives you enough time to be distracted or go to the bathroom and not really miss anything. Hopefully they've got those little spots worked in there. Like, nothing happens here. We'll just,
you can tell when the action scenes are going to happen. I'm not sure how nimble Jackie Chan is these days.
I mean, how old is he at this point? He has to be in his 70s, I would think, right?
I think so.
54 would be...
Oh, born in 54?
Yeah.
So he'll be 70 next year. 69, dude.
Nice.
I'm sure he's in good health. Did you know that John Cena is an uncredited extra in Ready to Rumble? the WCW movie.
Really?
Just found that out because I was trying to remember the name of the movie. Matt just
We'll
said
have to
the
look
name
for him whenever we watch it in a couple years.
Yeah. Sure.
So I wonder if, what was the prototype, or... No, he wouldn't have shown up there.
He's probably just in the crowd as a fan.
Yeah, most likely.
Wrestler number 3.
They didn't even try with the poster for Hidden Strike.
No, absolutely not.
It's just
that's totally a Netflix poster.
Yeah.
Like, let's make it look like a video game so nobody can tell what the hell it actually is.
It's like a hair away from being an Asylum Films or whatever poster. Anyway, enough Jackie Chan. We're not in China. We're in Japan.
Jackie-chan.
That's right. Away from the kung fu and into the wrestling.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So all these matches, New Japan World, they're separated individually out, so there's nothing in between or anything. So it's just a collection of matches. So,
Which makes sense because that's how Japanese shows typically go. There's not a whole lot of it's like match, song, guy comes out, song, guy comes out, match, song plays, guy leaves, next match. So you're not going to get a whole lot of backstage segments and things in these kinds of shows anyway. So the biggest thing you lose in them chopping it up like this is some of the entrances, but a lot of these guys were using music
that they're not going to pay for.
They're not going to
anyway.
pay for at this point in time.
So-
No one's paying Led Zeppelin money for, is it Tenzon that uses that?
Togi Makabe.
Oh, Makabe.
So the version that I listened to, was that a different rip from what you guys watched?
Yeah.
Because mine did have some backstage
It
stuff.
may have.
Oh.
It may have been the actual
Yeah.
video.
And then there was somebody with the Final Countdown as their theme song, and yeah. So as you were saying that, I'm like, wait a minute, did I watch the right?
Yeah, we watched it on the thing. I saw that it was on YouTube as well, which is probably the same video you watched.
Because mine had like intros before the match where they showed like a build up to it, where it had like graphics and music and stuff, which I thought, oh my god, wow, cool, they're actually doing something like this instead of just start match. And
Interesting.
yeah,
I kind of wish I would have watched that. Sounds fun.
but mine was missing, one match.
Yeah.
I don't ever look on YouTube for that stuff, so it could look. If you're saying it's on
I think it
YouTube.
is because I think I looked at it curiosity whenever I was pulling the show up.
So there's a few options there if you're wanting to watch along with us. That it's out there on the internet to find for the most part. But it is if you want to pay the money.
There's plenty of other good stuff on
Yeah.
New Japan World.
So we're going to go straight to our first match. Yuji Nagata, Takashi Iizuka, Osamu Kido, and Kazuo Yamazaki versus Satoshi Kojima, Osamu Nishimura, Manabu Nakanishi, and Junji Hirata. Little 8-man tag.
That's how these shows start.
Absolutely.
It's tough when you don't know who everyone is.
Yep.
It's like, I know Iizuka, I know Kojima, and Nagata. The other guys are a little harder for me to
And see,
put the name to the face.
Did you write them in the order that they were walking to the ring? Because that's how I labeled them as they were coming down.
I think I wrote them as they were named.
Okay.
Whenever they did the announcements
Oh,
in
yeah.
the
Well,
in the
hopefully
ring.
they were named as they were walking down, because that's where I was like, who is this guy? Because
That is a benefit to
I attributed to being Iizuka. He looked familiar, so I'm hoping that I'd seen him before.
You have.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have, I believe, seen all of these people at least one time before.
Yeah, we have. It's just people that I'm not as familiar with. So maybe that intro video would have been helpful for me. Because I'm like,
And speaking of when we saw them last,
oh, let's do it.
Yamazaki was at G1 Climax 96, episode 214. Nagata and Kojima was at Wrestling World 96, episode 181. Iizuka, Kido, Nakanishi, and Hirata at Battle 7, episode 140. And Nishimura at the NWA Smoky Mountain Wrestling World Heavyweight Tournament Championship, episode 135.
Is that the show that had Al Snow on it that was like
Yeah.
shot by a fan?
Yes.
And the horrible commentary.
Yeah. Okay, just making sure. You don't forget the ones like that, guys.
Yeah, Candido won the belt.
Yeah.
I think that's right. And that was when we were like, oh, Al Snow can wrestle. Because I was
'Cause all
only
we knew
familiar with
was
was head.
Yeah. So this match gets going with Nagata and Nakanishi trading strikes when Nakanishi would nail a vicious clothesline and swings Nagata around in a chokehold. But he then misses a leg drop, allowing Nagata to apply a leg lock, only for Nakanishi to immediately roll to the ropes. Iizuka and Kojima tag in with Iizuka looking to hit a T-bone suplex, only for Kojima to elbow his way free and deliver a lariat and a somersault senton. But Iizuka is right back up to hit a back suplex and a somersault senton of his own. Time for Nishimura and Yamazaki to get some work in, with Yamazaki nailing several headbutts before trying to roundhouse kick Kojima off the apron, which allows Nishimura to attempt a dropkick, only for Yamazaki to avoid and apply a leg lock, which Nishimura rolls to the ropes to break up immediately. And Nagata comes back in to work the arm of Nishimura, but he ends up being taken to the wrong corner, allowing Hirata to tag in and deliver a back elbow, a vertical suplex, and a senton for a 2 count. Hirata continues with a lariat in the corner before going to a headlock, which brings Yamazaki in to break it up, allowing Nagata to take Hirata down, followed by Kido tagging in to work the neck and arm of Hirata. Now Iizuka's tagged in, but his entire team jumps in the ring to deliver double kicks to the gut and double arm breakers with a leg lock for good measure to Hirata, until the opposing team comes in to break it all up. And Hirata is finally able to make it to his corner, tagging in Kojima, who delivers a lariat and a jumping forearm in the corner, before heading up top for an elbow drop that gets a near fall. And Iizuka fires back to make it to his corner to bring in Yamazaki, who nails several kicks to Kojima, before attempting a powerbomb, only for Kojima to counter into a back body drop, allowing him to tag in Nishimura, who comes right in with multiple drop kicks to Yamazaki. Nishimura follows up with a bridging Northern Lights suplex, only for Yamazaki to roll out of it right into a cross arm breaker, which is broken up by Hirata leg drop.
I think that maybe the word for the day might be Northern Light suplex, if I remember correctly. We will be seeing a lot of these.
A few of them. I mean, they pay respect to their Hiroshi Hase, who came up with the move.
Why wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Kojima and Kido both tag in, with Kojima delivering chops, only for Kido to fight back with kicks and a neck breaker for a 2 count. Now Nagata returns with a kick combo, followed by Yamazaki joining in for double team kicks to Kojima, before Iizuka nails a Uranagi, allowing Nagata to lock in another cross arm breaker, which brings everyone into the ring to brawl, with Hirata breaking up the submission. Now Kojima hits a vicious lariat to Nagata, before tagging in Nakanishi, who puts Nagata in an Argentine backbreaker, which is a torture rack.
Okay, I was like, Argentine backbreaker. It's like, I wrote down torture rack.
Followed by dropping him onto his knee for a backbreaker. Kojima then comes back in for a double team lariat on Nagata, followed by Nishimura flying off the top with a missile dropkick, and Hirata going for a lariat of his own, only to get caught with a belly-to-belly suplex by Nagata, before locking in another cross arm breaker. And Nakanishi breaks that up, taking Nagata over with a back body drop and allowing Hirata to nail a bridging butterfly suplex, which again brings in everybody to brawl. Hirata delivers a sit-out powerbomb to Nagata for a near fall, followed by a lariat for the pin and the win. And this would be Nagata's final match in New Japan for a couple of years, as he would head off on excursion to the land of WCW.
Oh, that's why they gave him so much ring time. This was his,
Goodbye match.
That's cool.
So now I'm trying to remember. Does he have a different name in WCW, or is he still Nagata?
No, he's still Nagata.
All right.
I mean, this is standard, solid 8-man tag stuff. Everybody does some cool stuff. There's some big moves. Everybody breaks stuff up until everybody holds everybody back and somebody takes a pin. That's how we start wrestling shows in Japan. It's nice to know that Kojima always had a wonderful lariat.
Yes.
Painful.
Sometimes
he looks just as good or better today. He's
sometimes
fucking
these
huge.
8-man tags can get a little
much,
but I thought they told a pretty good story with this one. and it was concise.
Yeah. I did notice one thing where when Iizuka tags in, he got a pretty big pop, and I was like, I bet he's got a tag belt of some kind at the moment.
I don't
Maybe.
know exactly.
Who knows? But I was just like, oh. Just this, You notice the different pops guys get when there's 8 people there. And
Yeah.
Like, how big is, how much do people actually care about each one of these guys?
And I like how when it came time for the pin, those who were not pinning held their opponent in
back.
the corner. That way nobody
that's
could break up the pin.
That's a huge thing in Japanese
It's
wrestling.
beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, they do it every
To the
show
day.
today. Yeah, to this day. It's there's a formula that is tried and true that works, and it basically certain interactions allow for
Certain
singles
stories
matches.
to be told.
To be turned into singles matches and stuff.
Yep.
That's the formula.
So we go to our second match. Super Liger versus Koji Kanemoto.
The Gold Rush return. Sorry, I have to write down the fun names they have on World for each match.
No.
And this one's called Gold Rush Return.
So we last saw Kanemoto at Wrestling World 96, episode 181. And did we all figure out who was under the Liger mask?
I didn't until I looked it up. I couldn't tell by watching. Or I didn't think to try to think who it was by watching.
I did not get to watch the match, but I saw a short clip that Matt showed me on his phone, and within the first 4 seconds, I figured out who it was.
Yeah, and that makes sense because this guy's been here before.
Mm-hmm.
Act like you've been here before.
So Super Liger, basically, so if we look at Tiger Mask, Tiger Mask's perennial rival is
Black Tiger.
Black Tiger. That's basically what they were kind of trying to do here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Creating a
Heel Liger.
A heel Liger for Jushin Thunder Liger to feud with, and they could have put multiple people under the mask like they do with Black Tiger. And it just so happened that they got Chris Jericho to do it in this match. And we'll talk more about it afterwards. But Super Liger starts us off with a back suplex, a brainbuster, and a drop kick to the knee, taking the fight to the mat for some legwork shared between the two competitors. And Liger fires up with an enziguri and a scoop slam before heading out to the apron to return with a slingshot splash for a 2 count. Super Liger continues with a rubber band slam and a spinning heel kick to send Koji out to the apron. He tries to follow up with a springboard dropkick, but he slips on the ropes to fall to the mat. So Liger gets up and drop kicks Kanemoto out to the floor. Super Liger then heads up top and delivers a missile dropkick to the outside before getting back in the ring to pose. But the crowd boos him.
This is when he puts out both of his middle fingers. I was like, that's not very Liger of you.
And Liger attempts to bring Koji in the hard way, but Kanemoto reverses, sending Super Liger out to the floor, following out with a springboard corkscrew moonsault. Koji then goes for a vertical suplex to bring Liger back in, but Super Liger floats over and knocks Kanemoto down, attempts a springboard moonsault, only for Koji to have moved, followed by both men going for drop kicks at the same time.
Crowd always loves that. They know each other so well.
Back to their feet, the two men trade strikes, with the fight leading to a top turnbuckle, where Liger goes for a Frankensteiner, only for Koji to counter it into a powerbomb.
Yes.
Kanemoto goes on the attack with kicks and a second rope corkscrew moonsault for a near fall, followed by a top rope moonsault. Makes the cover, only to pull Super Liger up at 2.
Don't get cocky.
Koji then nails a bridging tiger suplex for a near fall, but Liger comes back with a lariat for a 2 count, before taking Kanemoto to the top turnbuckle for a superplex, only for Koji to toss Super Liger out to the floor and leap off with a crossbody, where Liger greets him with a dropkick in midair.
Sniped.
Super Liger takes Kanemoto to the top once more, hitting a double underhook superplex, making the cover, but now he pulls the shoulders up at 2.
Don't get cocky.
Before hitting a bridging tiger suplex for the pin and the win.
So one thing I did like, because this is a pretty monstrous crowd of 60,000 people, that when he lifts his head off of the mat, he, like, makes sure to, like, motion to the crowd so they know what he did was on purpose, because a lot can be lost in an arena that big.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever been to a live wrestling show and you got high up seats, that ring is a lot smaller than it looks like on TV.
That big move just looks like you put a thumb in somebody's eye.
Granted, there's giant screens everywhere, but you wanted to make sure they knew what he was doing.
And Super Liger went over with the Japanese crowd like a fart in the woods.
They were not.
And that's the last time Super Liger was ever a thing.
So is this the first and last time?
First and last time.
Damn.
One and done.
I guess he doesn't quite have the juice under the mask like Eddie did.
Man.
Or maybe they just don't need two Ligers.
I wonder. Temper tantrum just grew.
Definitely
grew from
don't
there.
need two Ligers.
No.
I mean, we had that one match from the J Cup a couple years ago. I can't remember who it was with Liger in the final, but they wore like similar colors and
Oh, yeah.
I can't remember who it was, but like that's the only other Liger that I can picture.
Outside of, like, Kenshin Liger, and Liger's had some different variations of, like, costumes throughout the years,
Yeah.
but it's still the same guy. Like, Kenshin Liger is basically, what if you got pissed off and turned into a heel?
Oh, so that's his.
That's just
Muda-
still the
It's
same
basically
guy.
it's Demon Liger.
Yeah,
his,
that's,
his
yeah.
Muda and Mudo.
Yeah. He brought it back recently, the year before he retired, and almost stabbed Minoru Suzuki in the head with like a screwdriver. It's pretty great, pretty fun stuff at the time.
Very non-Liger.
Yeah, I mean he takes his mask off and his face is all covered in like black. He looks scary. It's cool.
I don't know. Yeah, well, I don't know if I could do Liger without.
But
I guess if he's got paint on.
evil. Yeah, he just looks like a low budget Halloween makeup guy. Where it's like we're gonna make this guy scary, so we're gonna like just cover his face in black paint, and it works.
Yeah, here's William Shatner mask just covered in dull paint, and now it's the scariest image for almost 50 years.
So we go to our third match. Jinsei Shinzaki with the Great Suzuki versus Michiyoshi Ohara with Akitoshi Saito. And the last time we saw Shinzaki was at Monday Night Raw on January 22nd, 1996.
Under the name
Hakushi,
Yep.
episode 185.
even without the kanji painted all over his body. You know what this guy. You know who this guy as soon as he shows up. I was excited.
And the last time we saw Michiyoshi was at Battle 7, episode 140.
Yeah, when the match began, I shouldn't even say when the match began, when the entrance began, I saw him walk out, and I just looked, didn't have a clear view of who it was, but looked at the TV and thought to myself, oh, I miss Hakushi. And then I get my phone, and I'm watching, and I look up and realize, holy shit. And then I text my nephew and said, watching a 1997 Japanese show for the podcast, and this guy shows up dressed in all white. All I can think is how much I miss Hakushi, and then it turns out that he's him. Holy shit, I'm actually sitting on the edge of my seat here in 2023, ready to watch a Hakushi match that I've never seen before outside of the WWF.
And it's also fun because this is like a battle of the samurai as far as gimmicks go. Like Yoshi's got some big kanji on his chest. It's not the tiny stuff. There's probably some Shinto stuff going on. He's got a robe. He's got the staff. There's hats. Everybody looks cool.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, well, I assume that there's some kind of old world battle between the gimmicks here.
And see,
I'm just making this up, but it's what it felt like.
See, my thought was they're like two versions of the same person, one good, one evil, because one walked out with bright lights and white clothing, the other one was more darker and sinister and had a black.
I mean, I think that's what Ohara was going for, was like the evil version of Shinzaki, basically.
And this match was subtitled Special Game Shirabayame Re-Pilgrimage. So, whatever you want to take from that.
Okay.
So Ohara attacks as the bell rings, whipping Jinsei from corner to corner before delivering a praying powerbomb and an elbow drop.
This guy loves to pray.
Michiyoshi with headbutts and chops, but he misses a clothesline when Shinzaki cartwheels away to avoid, nailing a thrust kick to take Ohara down. Jinsei with chops and a drop kick for a 2 count, charges in, only for Michiyoshi to back body drop him over to the floor, where Ohara's Haisa Ishigun teammates get some kicks in.
I mean, I'm already pumped because it's a big, strong boy match.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing I love more than a big, strong boy match.
Saito peels back the mat from the concrete, allowing them to drop Shinzaki with a spike piledriver onto the floor.
Oh, and he prays before he jumps off that apron.
Before running him into a ring post
Posted.
and a guardrail. Back in the ring, Michiyoshi with a vertical suplex and a back body drop for a near fall. Works the neck with chokes and knees before being thrown back to the floor.
What a dirty boy. Should I start saying railed? Just a thought.
Guarded.
Ishigun looks to get involved again, but Jinsei fights back, sending Saito into the guardrail, before regrouping for a moment on the floor. Shinzaki then looks to return to the ring, only for Ohara to attempt to stop him, but Jinsei grabs him for a rope walk chop and a scoop slam, before hitting a second rope pump splash for a 2 count. Shinzaki then locks on a nerve hold,
The nerve of this man.
wearing down Michiyoshi momentarily, followed by a top rope chop, only for Ohara to catch him to counter it into a choke slam for a near fall. Michiyoshi's back on the attack with a tackle, goes for another praying powerbomb, only for Jinsei to reverse it into a hurricanrana for a 2 count. Ohara goes for another choke slam when Shinzaki fighting his way free, only for Michiyoshi to mule kick down low to regain control. Ohara finally gets that choke slam for a near fall. He then calls his teammates into the ring, only for it to backfire as Saito nails a spinning heel kick to Michiyoshi, allowing Jinsei to come off the top with a flying shoulder block and a diving headbutt, before delivering a praying powerbomb of his own for the pin and the win.
Yay.
I mean, this is fun stuff and perfectly plotted, like, heel-face match. Yeah, the callbacks are timed out right and intelligent. This is absolutely my shit and done to, like, a T of, like, this is how wrestling is supposed to work kind of thing. Where it's like, these are the, like, traditional rules of the thing. Go out there and have the best match you can inside of it. And I think they pulled it off pretty well. Mm-hmm. Chef's kiss over here.
So we go to our 4th match. Yoshihiro Tajiri versus Shinjiro Otani in a New Japan versus Big Japan match.
Hey, that's what it had said as the title. They didn't get too fancy with this one.
So the last time we saw Shinjiro was at the J Crown tournament, episode 213. And yes, this is the Tajiri that we know from ECW and WWF. A very young version.
Yeah, it's Otani is noticeably taller than Tajiri, but if you look, Tajiri is like a little bit more bulky. So you always forget. Don't really always notice how tall some Japanese wrestlers are. And it's like, oh, Otani's a little taller than I thought, and he's one of my favorite guys. So I was like, maybe Tajiri's just.
And see, the first time I saw Otani, I want to say I thought he was, maybe 5'7", 5'8", because he just, I don't remember who he was in the ring with, but he just looked short and stout. Or not really stout, but...
Yeah, he was probably across from, like, Scott Steiner, so he just doesn't look as large.
So Yoshihiro offers a handshake, but when Otani reaches out, Tajiri fakes him out and nails a spinning heel kick to start. Yoshihiro with multiple kicks and a rolling Jujikatami hold before hitting a bridging German for a 2 count. The two then fight over a waistlock, only for Tajiri to escape and deliver a hurricanrana for a near fall, which has Shinjiro all like, what is happening?
I mean, the young guy's got to play dirty tricks if he wants to beat the more established vet.
Otani responds with a drop kick to the knee, allowing him to work the leg with a cross-knee scissors hold that forces Yoshihiro to reach the ropes, only for Shinjiro to refuse to let go. Otani continues with boot scrapes and a spinning heel kick before the two start slapping each other silly, with them both falling down at the same time. Now back to their feet, Shinjiro hits a body slam before heading out to the apron for a springboard dropkick, only for Tajiri to avoid and nail a bridging dragon suplex for a 2 count.
And there's a big old pop. This looks great, and the crowd is alive for this one.
Otani rolls out to the floor to regroup, but Yoshihiro is hot on his tracks, leaping out with an Asai moonsault, where the young lions have to help catch him so that he doesn't fall into the front row.
It's a little scurry.
Shinjiro makes it back to the apron, where Tajiri tries to knock him back out to the floor with a high kick, only for Otani to catch him with a heel kick. Shinjiro then returns inside with a springboard dropkick and attempts a dragon suplex, but Yoshihiro counters it into a sunset flip before transitioning into a rolling cradle for a near fall.
You can't go back to the well, man.
Tajiri sets Otani on the top rope to deliver a Super Rana for a 2 count, before going for another Rana, only for Shinjiro to counter it into a powerbomb. Otani then nails a sit-out powerbomb and a springboard spinning heel kick for the pin and the win. So this puts New Japan up 1-0. This match fucking rocked.
Yeah, it's so great. I mean, I'm always here for Otani matches, and it's nice to see him with a new opponent that has something to prove. And they really did it, folks.
Young little Tajiri.
So we go to our 5th match. Kendo Nagasaki versus Tatsutoshi Goto with Akitoshi Saito in a New Japan versus Big Japan match.
Which I personally subtitled Battle of the Big Bald Men.
Yeah.
One's got a more prominent mustache.
So last time we saw Tatsutoshi was at Battle 7, episode 140. And we get a feeling out process with some mat work to start, shared between the two, before going into a test of strength. Woo! Which Goto uses a cheap shot to gain control momentarily. But Nagasaki comes right back with right hands of his own. And the two continue to trade strikes when Kendo takes Tatsutoshi down with a Kimura lock, which he escapes and goes for closed fists. But the ref stops him, allowing Nagasaki to regain control on the mat. Goto's thrown out to the floor, where Kendo runs him into the guardrail and delivers several elbows before going back inside, where Tatsutoshi hits a lariat before taking Nagasaki out to the ramp to suplex him, followed by a running lariat on the ramp as well.
I mean, you know, if you're going to have that catwalk, you better use it.
One that runs all the way from like the center field fence of a baseball field to the pitcher's mound.
I mean, yeah.
You got to run the whole thing too.
Absolutely. I mean, it happens every year in the Tokyo Dome.
Back in the ring, Goto goes for a back suplex, but Kendo fights his way free with back elbows before hitting a thrust kick and a pile driver for a 2 count. Nagasaki throws a haymaker, only for Tatsutoshi to duck and go for the back suplex again. But Kendo counters into another arm lock, which Goto escapes by making the ropes. And they head out to the floor, where Nagasaki tosses Tatsutoshi into a guardrail, before grabbing a chair to smash across the back of Goto and Saito multiple times. Tatsutoshi is rolled back in, with Kendo continuing the attack with the chair after he knocks the ref down, followed by a side slam and a pile driver onto the chair for the pin and the win. So Big Japan ties it up at 1.
And well, there's one of these chair shots that looks like he's wielding it like an axe. Like he just took the back top of the chair and just like chopped at him. I was like, Jesus. I rewound it a couple times to see like try to see how he actually connected with him, and that's the best I could figure out. I was like, you're gonna give a guy. They're all getting concussions either way, but you can kill a guy if you punch him in the temple or whatever. You know what they say?
So we go to our 6th match. Shoji Nakamaki versus Masahiro Chono in a New Japan versus Big Japan match with Kotetsu Yamamoto as a special referee. And the last time we saw Chono was at the G1 Climax 96, episode 214. And Kotetsu Yamamoto is a New Japan Hall of Famer. Best known for being a trainer in the dojo for such names as Keiji Muto, Jushin Thunder Liger, Minoru Suzuki, Shinsuke Nakamura,
There we go.
Too many letters.
and Masahiro Chono. Considered, along with Inoki and Karl Gotch, the responsible for the fundamentals of what is considered strong style.
So a goddamned legend is what we're saying.
He was in the initial class of like 5 people that were inducted in the Hall of Fame, along with Gotch and Inoki and a couple other guys.
We would
So-
refer to as a real one.
Yes. And as far as I remember, this is the first time we've seen him, so I was like,
Yeah, for sure.
gotta give his credentials.
Hell yeah.
Gotta give the respect, right?
With credentials like that, yeah.
So, did the bell ring?
I don't remember, honestly.
Because Nakamaki is literally just holding a barbed wire board out on the ramp when Masahiro comes out and just slaps him.
Yeah, he's just like, all right, well, I'm not going to wait around for
Here's a
this
boot
guy
to the
with a weapon.
face.
Yeah, and the crowd is immediately hot. I mean, Chono's big shit, and there's, a barbed wire board in the Tokyo Dome. This isn't standard fare.
The 2 men brawl up the ramp before Chono throws Shoji off of it, where they continue to brawl. They get back on the ramp, and Masahiro drags Nakamaki into the ring, where the bell finally rings. So I guess it hadn't rung yet. Followed by a body slam and heading up top. Chono then challenges Shoji to join him on the turnbuckle. And he no-sells a superplex and a shoulder block before delivering a Yakuza kick for the pin and the win.
Yeah, Chono, the 4th Road Warrior. Or, yeah, I guess, because of Power Warrior.
Chono Warrior.
Chono Warrior. I mean,
Masa Warrior.
Yeah, I kind of popped for. I mean, the crowd was hot as hell, but
Hero Warrior.
a Hero Warrior. There you go. And I popped for the no sell, even though I normally don't love that.
So New Japan's up 2-1 now in this challenge series.
I have a question that you might not have the answer to, but who is Soji Nakamaki, and why was he made to be a punk?
He's pretty much a deathmatch guy
Yeah.
in Big Japan.
So that totally makes sense why Chono came out there and kicked his ass not doing deathmatch stuff, because he views it as inferior. Hell yeah, love it.
Well,
That's my story.
also Chono's like, dude, I have a match later.
Yeah, I mean, I realized that later. I was like, how does Chono doing like a fucking 3-minute match, and he's like one of the biggest stars in the company right now? And I found my answer later, as he will return to the ring.
Yeah.
So basically, he's so big that he got to bury a guy and then come out and have a real match later.
So post-match, Masahiro locks on the STF, which he learned from Eric Watts.
Exactly.
When Nakamaki's teammates would come in, only for Hiro Saito to make the save, which is Chono's teammate, followed by several sentons onto Shoji. Chono grabs the barbed wire board and brings it into the ring and sets it against the ropes, when Nakamaki would start fighting back, finally nailing a clothesline to take down Masahiro. Shoji goes to whip Chono into the board,
But you guessed it, folks.
but Masahiro reverses it to send Nakamaki into the barbed wire, followed by a superplex onto it as well.
Ouch.
And Chono seems done with him. Like,
Yeah.
Masahiro's like leaving the ring, but Nakamaki's just crazy. So he somersault sentons himself and just takes a back bump
Yeah.
onto the barbed wire.
I don't know if anybody saw this, but similar to Kota Ibushi just bumping on thumbtacks after a match for no reason. But he's kind of an insane man, so I guess that's true of this Nakamaki as well.
I mean, if you're basically going to be a deathmatch guy and that's what you're known for, you got to
get your shit in.
You got to screw loose somewhere.
Yeah, it's like I may have got my ass kicked, but I'm still gonna get my shit in on myself.
So we go to our 7th match, the Great Kajuki versus Masa Saito in a New Japan versus Big Japan match, with Kotetsu Yamamoto as a special referee.
I have a quick question. So, I know who Masa Saito is, obviously, but whenever I watched this match on the World, it said versus Great Fawn, and I was like, who the fuck is Great Fawn? And I looked it up, because this guy's got, like, you know, a buzz cut that's, like, dyed red. He looks like a little bit older, like, average build, like, Japanese guy, and he's wearing, like, a vest of grenades.
He's the president of Big Japan.
Okay.
And he literally is 80-something years old this year.
Yeah.
And he's still wrestling.
That's crazy.
Damn.
I don't know that what he does in this match is even wrestling. Like he's there's Yano vibes here, guys.
Yes.
Just heads up.
It's very much a comedy type match, basically.
Yeah, it's the more like standard Japanese comedy match, not a like blow up doll or we wear like Gundam costumes comedy match. It's the comedy match that happens on a traditional wrestling show, not the comedy match that happens in like a DDT.
Yeah. So the last time we saw Masa was at Starrcade 95, episode 177. And as you mentioned, he's wearing a tuxedo with grenades on a vest.
Very funny.
But thankfully the ref made him remove the vest.
He makes a big to-do about it, though.
Well, yeah, because he wants to keep, like, pulling a pin on a grenade the entire match. It's like, what are we doing, bro?
Yeah, like, you're not going to get hurt.
So Saito takes the fight to the Great Kajuki with kicks, chokes, and overhead chops that send Kajuki outside to regroup. Back in, Masa no-sells every attempt of offense that Kajuki gives, responding with more overhead chops and kicks, causing Kajuki to bail out once more. The Great Kajuki returns only to be taken down with kicks from Saito once more, so one of Kajuki's cronies jumps on the apron, only for Masa to drag him in, which brings in more flunkies, with Saito taking care of all of them with clotheslines and body slams.
Someone's got a bump.
The distraction allows the Great Kajuki to wrap a chain around his fist and use it several times, including choking Masa, even as the ref kicks and slaps him to force Kajuki to stop. Saito then nails more overhead chops, a body slam, before locking on an ankle hold for the submission and the win. So New Japan wins the Challenge Series 3-1.
Yeah, and of course the BJW guys come back in just to get beaten down by Masa Saito once more.
Absolutely.
I did like that the ref finally got pissed enough to just open hand slap him across the face. As far as like comedy matches go, we don't see a lot of them, and I thought this one was fine.
So we go to our 8th match.
The final countdown, number 6.
Willie Williams versus Antonio Inoki. So the reason it's called the Final Countdown 6 is
It's a shoot.
Inoki is basically reliving all of his greatest matches as he's doing a retirement tour, which is taking forever because I think Final Countdown 5th was at Wrestling World 96, which was the last time we saw him, episode 181. This is a match. Him and Willie Williams actually had a MMA Styles match back in like 1981. I think that's where I read it. It was 81, 82, 83, 84. It was early 80s.
Yeah.
It was one of his greatest matches. But literally, that's the last time Willie Williams was in a wrestling match.
Yeah, I mean, Willie Williams, it's like you can tell, it's like this guy's not a wrestler. He's like an ex-kickboxer or something.
He's basically just a karate guy.
Yeah, I mean, he looks big and scary. He also, has probably been in better shape in 81, but he could probably still kick just about anybody's ass.
See, they showed a little clip of it on the one that I watched.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they had Willie with his... At least I'm assuming that's when the fight was from their one from the 80s, but he had boxing gloves or something like that on, so it was either from their previous fight or it was something that was building up to this show where they had a little face-to-face on something. Yeah, I was totally confused. I even had to pull up my phone, like, is there seriously an Inoki match on here? Because I wasn't expecting that.
They're just going to show up at random times. I honestly don't even know when his last one is.
Yeah. But I mean, if they take up as much time on a show as this one does, then I'm okay.
Yeah,
it's fine. It's like, oh, well, everybody gets to see the guy and cheer for the guy and
admire the chin.
Admire the chin. Honestly, at this point, that's all we have to admire.
He's dead at this point, and sometimes I wonder if they wouldn't just roll his carcass in his casket out to the ring.
Yeah, just in a glass one filled with flowers.
If there's like a tree root growing.
All right,
sprouted from the chin.
That would be a
bonsai.
Be a good gimmick. Somebody that had a fake, like a metal mold of Inoki's chin that he put on, and then did like a headbutt, like a Iizuka style thing.
Terminoki.
So Williams goes right after Inoki, taking him to a corner before trying for a roundhouse kick that Antonio ducks. Inoki then catches a kick and takes Willie down to the mat, where they fight for position, till Williams makes the ropes to force a break. Willie throws some more kicks, followed by taking Antonio down with a suplex-type move, only for Inoki to recover to get back on top, even as Williams is trying to choke him. Now back to their feet, Antonio avoids multiple kick attempts before catching one and countering it into a ground cobra twist for the submission and the win.
It's not good or fun, but Antonio Inoki was in the ring.
Yep.
A chin worthy of any stage.
So do we go to our ninth match?
Let's do it.
Jushin Thunder Liger versus Ultimo Dragon for the J Crown Championship. Sorta.
Yeah, I mean, on paper, this. We've been watching this build for a year, so this is the blowout. This is the big match.
So what I mean by the sorta is that we know that Ultimo won the WCW Cruiserweight Championship the last time we saw him at Starrcade, but WCW did not let him put that belt on the line in this match.
Yeah, because I have it as the Junior Heavyweight 8 Crown Championship.
So yes, only 8 belts were on the line,
not the WCW.
9.
Lame.
So the two men shake hands, followed by an athletic sequence that sees each man miss kicks before Dragon attempts a La Magistral pin for a 2 call. Callback.
Nicely done. Bring it.
These guys are smart. They're smart and good.
They're flying.
So they start trading strikes when Liger catches Ultimo with a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, followed by a Romero special momentarily, before powerbombing Dragon and locking in a bow and arrow hold, transitioning into a single-leg crab, forcing Ultimo to reach the ropes. Jushin works the back with a camel clutch and a butterfly hold, only for Dragon to counter it into a leg lock to ground Liger. Jushin tries to counter back into a cross armbreaker, but Ultimo flips over to transition into an Indian deathlock. Now back to their feet, Dragon telegraphs a back body drop, so Liger goes for a sunset flip for a near fall, followed by Ultimo retaliating with a small package for a 2 count. And Ultimo goes back to work on the leg when Jushin fires back with chops and a kapoo kick, when Dragon reverses a whip to deliver a monkey flip and a drop kick that sends Liger into a corner. Ultimo charges in, only for Jushin to set him up on the top turnbuckle and attempt to slap Dragon. But he's blocked by Ultimo kicking at him and leaping off with a head scissors.
I love this spot. He gets him up there. When guys go to meet a guy on the top rope, they only got to get a shot in to sell that guy's not just going to sit there and wait for you. This guy actually just lifts his foot because he's above higher than him, so he just slaps the shit out of his foot. Where it's like, I imagine that if you chopped somebody and instead caught a boot on your hand, that would you'd have to sell that. It probably hurt pretty bad.
Dragon continues with a springboard moonsault and a handspring back elbow, only to be caught with a release German by Liger for a near fall. Jushin then goes for a drop kick that Ultimo avoids, so Liger responds with another kapoo kick to send Dragon out to the floor. Jushin then climbs up top to fly off with a plancha atop Ultimo, before coming back inside, where Liger nails a fisherman's buster for a 2 count. And Jushin goes for another suplex, but Dragon counters it into a law magistral for a near fall, followed by another athletic sequence with the two leapfrogging to avoid moves before they both hit clotheslines for a double KO.
Milk the crowd. Milk that crowd.
Back to their feet, Liger ducks a clothesline and nails a showtie, making the cover for a 2 count, before taking Ultimo to the top for a super Frankensteiner, only for Dragon to hold onto the ropes, causing Jushin to crash down to the mat. Ultimo would then leap off with a Rana, followed by another that would take them both over the ropes and to the floor, only for Dragon to roll back in so he could fly back out with a tope suicida. Ultimo then climbs to the top so he can fly off again with a somersault senton onto Liger, before they both roll in where Dragon hits a fallaway slam and a top rope moonsault. Ultimo nails a tiger suplex for a near fall, goes for a tombstone, only for Jushin to reverse it into a pancake slam and head up top. But Dragon meets him there to fight atop the turnbuckle, before delivering a super Frankensteiner for the pin, and no! Liger kicks out. Ultimo hits a sit-out powerbomb and a scoop slam, followed by a springboard moonsault that Jushin avoids in time, rolling up Dragon with a law magistral.
Yes!
For the pin, and no! Ultimo kicks out. Liger charges into a knee in the gut, allowing Dragon to go for another powerbomb, but Jushin counters it into a Hurricanrana before nailing a Steiner screwdriver for the pin and the win. And new
times 8.
I mean,
Steiner screwdriver, yes.
yeah.
You're doing a Frankenstein, you may as well finish it up with a Steiner screwdriver.
Right.
You know, throw in a Steiner line if you're feeling froggy or, bulldoggy.
You know what was really nice about this? We love the junior matches and the junior tournaments, but here, pace is wonderful. Everybody takes time to register and sell moves, so it doesn't feel like a spot fest. And a lot of some of those matches, it's like, all right, now I'll put you on the top buckle, and then I put you on the top buckle, and this is plotted out in a more believable way because there's time and because these guys have a rivalry and are on equal footing. And they get to do all the callbacks. And, it's just, this is what we're here for most of the time, right?
Most of the time.
Most of the time. Lovely. It's just good stuff.
Is this a...
Yep.
I mean, come on. I mean, they made it. They made it last year, and those were the matches leading up to this one.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't say that they did I wouldn't say that they This is the main event of what they've been working on all of last year.
Yeah.
This is the reason that Wrestle Kingdom exists.
They hooked me with their whole 2 minutes last year, and I finally got what I wanted, which is more.
Yep. And just everybody, both guys just meeting each other, a meeting of the minds.
Yeah.
The
Boo on
reversals and the
WCW
callbacks.
for not participating, but I guess they
they
must have known the plan, so they didn't want to lose their gold.
My assumption is that they can get more out of Dragon because he's been more prominently shown in WCW recently, as opposed to Liger, who's gonna stay home. Maybe he doesn't want to work in America, or
Probably don't want to have to go do weekly TV.
and
Ultimo lives in Mexico, so it's a little bit shorter of a trip for him.
and he's probably going to get paid more at WCW than he is in Mexico. So everything makes sense, and we got a wonderful match out of it. The WCW fans would have never appreciated. Would have been so mad if this happened on a WCW show.
Yeah.
If they had the same exact match there, you would have seen people fucking sitting on their hands and
Hardly
getting
boring chants already.
I was like, they'd just be sitting on their hands. What are we watching?
these fucking monsters. I mean, it's a different style of wrestling, but it's still wrestling. I never understand that.
So we go to our 10th match. Kingo Kimura and Tatsumi Fujinami versus Shoten of Masahiro Chono and Hiroshi Tenzan with Hiro Saito for the IWGP Tag Team Championships. So the story behind this match was that Kimura and Fujinami were the first ever holders of the tag team belts and wanted one last chance at the title that made them famous before retirement.
Yeah, as both men are older, Fujinami is looking it. Chono's a big mean boy, and I assume he's Tenzan.
Yeah.
He's got a mullet and wears it well.
So the last time we saw Hiroyoshi was at Wrestling World 96, episode 181. Kingo and Tatsumi at Battle 7, episode 140.
And Chono, 20 minutes ago.
Yeah.
So Show 10 attacks before the bell, cleaning house until it settles into Kimura being double-teamed by the champs. Kingo is finally able to make it to his corner to make a tag, with Fujinami beating down Tenzan until he makes a tag, which brings Masahiro in to work the legs of Tatsumi. Hiroyoshi continues the punishment on Fujinami with a single leg crab and headbutts, when Tatsumi retaliates with some turnbuckle smashes, leading to Kimura returning with knees and stomps to the gut. The challengers team up for a body slam and multiple top rope knee drop combos on Tenzan before controlling the match by isolating him with holds. Fujinami attempts a suplex, only for Hiroyoshi to reverse it into one of his own, allowing him to make it to his corner to tag in Chono, who ends up kicking Tatsumi backwards into his corner for Kingo to return. Now Masahiro works the leg of Kimura, before bringing Hiroyoshi back in to continue the attack with a Samoan drop for a 2 count. Chono returns with a neckbreaker for a near fall, before the champs hit a double team shoulder block, followed by Tenzan with some Mongolian chops.
Do the Mongolian chops ever look good? They look better here than they do in a lot of places. You're just opening yourself up for a headbutt. Or a knee to the nuts or gut. So many things could go wrong.
Hiroyoshi holds Kingo for Masahiro to leap in off the second rope with a shoulder block that completely misses, but Kimura sells it anyway.
I know, that was tough. I was like, damn, that sucks to do that in front of 60,000 people.
The champs keep it up with an atomic drop lariat combo, followed by Chono locking in the STF, only for Fujinami to break it up, so they take the fight to him with a whip-aided clothesline, before Tenzan tosses Tatsumi towards a Masahiro Yakuza kick, but Fujinami catches him and nails a dragon screw leg whip.
The crowd truly goes wild for this. Let it build, baby.
Tatsumi does the same to Hiroyoshi, before holding Chono so that a recovered Kingo can land an Inazumi leg lariat, but Masahiro avoids, causing Fujinami to take the blow. Now Chono telegraphs the back body drop, allowing Kimura to kick him away and hit the leg lariat, followed by a powerbomb for the pin, and no! Tenzan breaks it up.
I mean, how bad of a partner would he be if he couldn't?
Shoten looks to double team Kingo, only for Tatsumi to roll back to attack Hiroyoshi from behind, allowing Kimura to meet Masahiro on the top turnbuckle to nail a superplex. Kingo then tags in Fujinami, who tosses Tenzan from the ring, before applying a sleeper to Chono, only for Hiroyoshi to hit a spinning heel kick to break it up. Kimura tosses Tenzan out of the ring once again, allowing the challengers to go for a double team, but Masahiro hands out some low blows and a Yakuza kick to Tatsumi for a near fall.
Dirty, rotten scoundrels.
Chono charges at Fujinami, only to be caught in a dragon sleeper, taking him down to the mat for a cover, when Hiroyoshi flies in with a headbutt to break it up, but Tatsumi moves in time, causing Masahiro to take the hit.
I mean, come on. This is what tag team wrestling's about.
Kingo again tosses Tenzan from the ring, before delivering an Inazumi leg lariat to Chono, followed by a back suplex and a dragon sleeper from Fujinami for the submission and the win. And move!
I was not expecting that.
I know, you gotta give You got to give Fujinami a,
One last run.
one last run. They're not going to give him the big boy belt, but they can at least have him create a new star before he leaves him in Tenzan. And look good and smart doing it. The heels, I love the heels jumpstart the match, and Chono immediately goes for a cover, and the ref's just looks at him. It's no, I'm not, you just cheated. I'm not going to count the pin. And I think that happens twice early on, and I'm that's a nice moment, and just pointing out how dirty these guys are. I mean, 2 nut shots. I only get 1 nut shot. He did a double mule kick back to back. They also get a trophy. So I assume they may have won the tag tournament to get here. Or
New Japan,
there's just trophies.
They just like to give away trophies.
Yeah, well,
you get a trophy.
Yeah.
You get a trophy.
I wonder if anybody has ever actually brought their trophy out, quite like Owen Hart and his precious Slammy.
Oh yeah, 2-time Slammy Award winner.
So we go to our 11th match: Power Warrior versus Great Muta.
Battle of Double Dealer.
Is that what it was?
That's what it says. I wrote it down verbatim.
Battle of Double Dealer.
Because both of them have double personalities.
Yeah, okay. That's the idea. It's Power Warrior, and then he's Kensuke Sasaki, and then Great Muta and Keiji Muta.
Yeah.
And here they're both working with their gimmick. And I'm pfft.
You know what? Both their gimmicks are working for me.
Yeah, dude, it's awesome. We'll have to talk about what Power Warrior is wearing.
So the last time we saw Great Muta was at the G1 Climax 96, episode 214. And now's the time to talk about that pre-gear that Power Warrior is wearing.
Yeah,
it's
So my initial thought at seeing that was...
Iron Man?
This is what just screams to me from the TV as I'm watching it. This is what Shockmaster should have been.
Should have looked like?
Yeah.
Because it's a great
look. Yeah, that's all I could think while watching it was
really good
this
point.
would be the perfect Shockmaster. Even if it was somebody else wearing it.
Doesn't matter.
It
Just
doesn't matter,
that vibe is there.
Yeah, it's more than a Halloween painted Stormtrooper helmet and...
Yeah, it kind of looks like the original Iron Man faceplate, if you ever have read comic books. Yeah. But that's kind of the vibe that I got from it. And Muta, always with the crazy costumes. He's wearing a red sparkle robe, but he has a snake on one shoulder, a human skull on the other shoulder, and then his mask is a hybrid snake-human skull. It's fucking wild. And all this shit's gold or copper. Very shiny.
So
but
is
he's
that what his paint was then? Was snakeskin?
I guess that, because I never really thought about what it was.
I was trying to figure out what it was, and it just looked like paint had exploded on his face.
Maybe. Who knows? Maybe he just got tired of doing it well. But his face, it was always kind of just red and black. It's never was as intricate as Sting makeup or anything. But man, if you're going to have a big showy entrances, and this is the place for these guys to go all out.
Yes, and they did.
Yeah, and everybody knows that they're great wrestlers. There's a reason this is match number 11, and a spectacle. So needless to say, I was pretty stoked.
So we get a feeling out process to start, until Muta starts laying in some kicks, only for Warrior to respond with a lariat and a press slam to send Keiji rolling out to regroup. Back in, Sasaki goes back to work with stomps and chops, only for Muta to duck a clothesline and hit a spinning back kick, followed by a vertical suplex, which Warrior kicks out hard enough to send Keiji rolling out to the floor to regroup again.
One thing I must point out, as soon as the bell rings, they stare at each other, Muta puts his fingers to his throat, red mist. Just straight in the air, obviously, but you gotta have that spectacle off the top.
Sasaki catches Muta in a power slam, so Keiji again rolls out to slow the momentum, until he re-enters the ring where Keiji uses a cheap shot to toss Warrior out to the floor and over the guardrail into the media area. And Muta nails a pile driver of Sasaki atop a table, before just dumping a bunch of chairs and other tables on top of him. But Warrior powers his way free to stalk after Keiji, sending him into a ring post.
Posted.
followed by pancake slamming him atop a table.
Ouch.
Now back in the ring, Sasaki misses a dropkick, allowing Muta to deliver a snap elbow before tossing Warrior out onto the ramp, where Keiji hits a bulldog and a running lariat.
I mean, how could he not?
Muto seems to be the one that does it the most out of everybody.
Yeah.
Trademark.
Sasaki makes it back in, so Muta whips him to a corner, following in with a handspring back elbow, only for Warrior to catch him, but Keiji elbows his way free and nails a back kick before climbing up top where Sasaki meets him. Muta is tossed off the turnbuckle down to the floor, where Keiji grabs several chairs to toss into the ring, only for Warrior to tire of the stalling, so he goes out after Muta, but ends up being whipped into a guardrail. And they both get back in the ring, with Keiji using a chair over the head of Sasaki, who no-sells and hits a clothesline, before grabbing the chair to use it himself. Muta goes to spit the mist, but Warrior's ready for it, blocking it with the chair, and then breaks the chair over the head of Keiji.
These are all unprotected headshots, by the way, just for a visual.
Who rolls out once more, sneaking under the ring, only to come back into it from behind him, from the top, only for Warrior to see him in time for a shot to the gut on Muta's way down. Sasaki delivers a power slam and a lariat for 2 counts, then nails a power bomb and makes the cover, only for Keiji to spit green mist into Warrior's eyes.
So we got red. I think we missed there was a green mist in between there. Red and then green. And like the only reason he crawled into that ring, guys, is because the man ran out of mist. He's got to recharge.
Muta takes advantage of the springboard, double axe handle, and a top rope moonsault for a near fall, then goes out to the floor to bring a table back into the ring. And Keiji sets it up in a corner, whips Sasaki into it, followed by a handspring back elbow. Muta then lays the table on the mat before taking Warrior up to a turnbuckle for a super Frankensteiner onto the table.
And onto the top of his fucking head.
Yeah.
Keiji continues with the backbreaker, lays Sasaki on top of the table before heading up top for a moonsault. But Warrior moves in time, allowing him to nail a lariat and a Northern Lights bomb onto the table for the pin and the win.
Fun.
I know. I was excited for a Power Warrior win. Really, just we all know now today that Muta's kind of almost the Hulk Hogan of that doesn't work for me, brother, at points in his career. But here he took the loss to Power Warrior.
I did like the way he snapped, though, with the piling of the tables and chairs and whatnot on top of a Warrior.
Yeah.
That's not a side I can remember seeing from Muta before, where he just looked like he fully lost control and was like, fuck you, I'm going to bury your ass.
And I mean, yeah, and there's a little bit of sense to be made here. Muta's working erratically, and he's smaller than Kensuke Sasaki.
So is he technically considered the heel in this match, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, Muta was definitely the heel in the match.
Yeah. I mean, and also the wonderful use of the mist. They they do the mist, tease the mist. He misses the mist, gets the mist in a pin that he would have probably lost on, and then got too big for his britches.
Usually, if it's Great Muta, he's heel.
Okay.
When it's Keiji Muta, he's face.
Okay.
It's just kind of different because when we saw him
He was Muta
in WCW, it's like, yeah, he was probably technically the heel, but he was so cool and nobody had seen that.
For him.
Yeah, exactly. But like the crowd was always behind him. There were signs. Everybody was like, immediately, this guy's cool. So the heel gimmick didn't really like work because the guy was awesome and he worked in a way that people hadn't seen regularly to that point. So he was supposed to be he was a heel then, but there was people with Muta signs in all those shows back then. They the gimmick doesn't always quite go how you planned it.
Oh, yeah.
Even though it was successful.
It's one of those things, there were certain things.
It's a general rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Like, not always, because obviously there's times, but...
I mean, Austin is a heel that's so cool that he gets cheered.
Yeah, and see, that's why
Vince has to become the ultimate
too,
heel.
because this was around the time that line started to get blurred, where people were more into the heels, so I couldn't tell for sure if the cheers...
there's some of that with Chono, where like Chono's super over, but he is a heel, and he's your Hollywood Hogan or your Ricker Scott Steiner of Japan, where it's like, oh yeah, we're into this guy, but he's getting cheers, nutshotting guys.
So we go to our 12th match. Riki Choshu versus Shinya Hashimoto for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. And the last time we saw both men was at the G1 Climax 96, episode 214, where Choshu defeated Shinya in a block match. And he never got a title shot until now.
Why not pull Ricky out in front of the Tokyo Dome?
Make me wait this
He's a
long.
legend.
62,000 people, man.
So the two men starts off feeling out process with Ricky getting the better of a test of strength, only for Hashimoto to respond with a series of kicks. But Choshu fires back with right hands and a vertical suplex. They trade strikes in the middle of the ring, with Shinya getting the advantage after a pair of knees to the midsection, followed by several stiff kicks, taking Ricky to a corner, causing the ref to separate them. Choshu comes back by kicking at the leg of Hashimoto before applying the Scorpion Deathlock for quite a while.
Yeah.
But Ricky releases the hold to go back on the attack with multiple lariats that finally knock Shinya down for a 2 count.
Like, the first Shinya Hashimoto kick is like at minute 5 in this match, which I thought was nice. It's like, oh, we're going to work up to it. He's not just going to go wild. You got to pick your spots. You only got so many of those in you, big boy.
Choshu with 3 more lariats that get a near fall before switching things up with an insulariat, meaning to the back.
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, what the hell is an insulariat?
And another couple more regular lariats for a 2 count.
I mean, a lot of the story of this is Hashimoto doesn't go down.
Ricky realizes the counts are getting closer, so he decides to continue to go for lariats, only for Hashimoto to chop it away and begin to kick the arm, before falling down from the 9 lariats he just took.
He's a big, young, virile man.
Shinya continues to work the arm with chops and kicks, taking Choshu to a corner, causing the ref to once again back Hashimoto off, allowing Ricky the opportunity to burst out with chops of his own, causing Shinya to go down. Choshu takes Hashimoto up to a top turnbuckle for a superplex, before a couple more lariats, followed by Ricky heading up top, where Shinya meets him there to bring Choshu down with a superplex of his own. Hashimoto keeps up the attack with a DDT for the pin, and no, Ricky kicks out. So Shinya nails a jumping DDT for a near fall, followed by a brainbuster for the pin and the win. Post-match, the belt's placed around Hashimoto's waist, and he's handed a trophy, celebrating with the fans, before taking the mic to speak in Japanese as the show fades to black.
I know, Shinya looks pretty emotional. That big win over Choshu in the Tokyo Dome choked him up a little bit.
So I ask you, gentlemen, what are your overall thoughts of Wrestling World 1997?
Great show. There's lots of variation of, like, match styles. Like, nothing... There's, like, not really any two things that are the same. There's a main event that's, like, worthy of that title. It's not as, like, complex as Liger and Ultimo Dragon, and it shouldn't be. These are larger men, and it is a story of resilience and power, essentially, where it's like, yeah, how much can you take and keep going? And that totally makes sense considering that Choshu's an older guy. I mean, how many fucking brainbusters can he take?
Exactly.
Yeah, and the closing section of that match with the DDTs is just on fire. It was a really nice closing stretch. And there's plenty of other good things on here.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm going to pass it to Shane.
Yeah, this one I don't know. There's always a good vibe about the shows from Japan, and the starting matches, I recognized a few people, which is always helpful because coming into the podcast, when I first started up, I hadn't watched much wrestling from Japan, so I didn't know anybody
Muda.
at all.
Yeah.
And now I recognized at least one or two in the first match. Then had the sprinklings of Otani and Chono, Muda, Warrior, all of that. So it's become more fun to watch because I'm recognizing more people or remembering more people. But then there's those matches where I don't know anybody, and I just sit there and watch because I don't know who anybody is anyway. So I try and picture something and remember something so that when Matt is
talking about
telling
it,
the story, it's like,
it.
okay, that's who that was.
I mean, there's still that way for me sometimes too. It's like, we've seen all the guys in that first match before, but I don't know who all of them are. I know like 4 of them are, or maybe 3 of them.
The show, I'd say, has a little something for everybody, and
that's what I really noticed.
It, specifically for me, it had that Liger Dragon match, which I only wanted more and more of last time, so I got what I wanted and so much more with it.
And it's so nice that the 3 singles matches are also different. There's like the junior one, and then there's the 2 guys in their like evil gimmicks, which honestly is incredibly fucking fun. And to me, it feels like the better version of like what you want out of an ECW match. Granted, it's in the Tokyo Dome. Yeah. It's like they do the junk and they do big moves, and they don't
do a run in every match.
Yeah, there's chairs that get used, but like it all feels a lot more purposeful. And I'd like to know a little bit more about the backstory about that match, or maybe it was just like, this is a great gimmick match for the show. I wasn't sure they were feuding, or it's like, you know what, it's time to bring out Muda and Power Warrior again.
Give the people what they want.
Yeah, and then of course the last match, it's like kind of a torch pass in a way. It's like got over on the older guy on a big stage, and took a lot to 8 fucking 40 clotheslines before he could pull it off. But he ate them. He persevered. The fighting spirit.
So I don't want to yuck anyone's yum, but I didn't love this show. Like, certain matches did it for me.
Yeah.
Like Tajiri Otani, Liger Dragon, both great matches. I actually really like the 8-man. 8-man might be my 3rd or 4th favorite match on the show.
Oh, wow. I liked it, but I never get too into an 8-man match.
I mean,
in a real way.
I totally get it. The Hakushi, Jinsei, Shinzaki match. I really liked it. Yeah. I really liked it as well. The final 2 matches actually were kind of boring to me.
Oh, I was in it by that point. I was ready.
I mean,
I can see where you're coming from.
And I think some of it, especially with the main event, Riki Choshu is just boring to me. Like, literally all he does is a Scorpion Deathlock and a lariat.
Yeah.
And yes, it's
the
cool.
Crowd helped a lot.
Like the taking of the spot where he's taken the 9 lariats. Shinya is taking the 9 lariats, and then after he does a move, then he falls down from the beating. I thought that was fun.
Yeah.
So there's moments in those matches that I do like, but as an overall thing, I think this might be one of the weaker January 4th outings, because like those middle matches, like other than the Tajiri one, the Big Japan matches, like were all just kind of like,
no, I can agree with that.
Can we just get rid of these and move on to the next thing?
See, I think it has a little more of a glow to it for me, just because like the main event, I wasn't super crazy about, just because I don't know those 2 all that well. But the Power Warrior Muda one caught my attention more, just because I've seen the 2 of them fight before, and their entrances were enough to just.
I mean, they had big fight feel.
I mean, it did have a big fight feel with the gear. Like, I saw the gear and I was like, oh, that's friggin' cool. I think Power Warrior's kind of the same for me, though. I kind of like, I'm just kind of like whatever with him. Like, he doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
Which is, it's super weird because like the guys that I really like in current day New Japan are Tomohiro Ishii and Shingo Takagi, which are just big beefy boys that just like do the same kind of stuff that Sasaki was basically doing back
Yeah.
then. It doesn't make any sense. I get it in my head.
We've watched some great Kensuke Sasaki matches.
Well, I think that's.
But
the
yeah, I know.
problem.
Yeah, you know.
That might be the problem, though, is whether he's Sasaki or Power Warrior, there's really no difference other than what he's wearing. Whereas Muda, he changes his ring style a little bit. He changes his psychology. You know,
I mean, I always like
he's two
Muda
different
more as a
characters.
heel than I do of the underdog face.
I agree because we saw Muda in those WCW stuff, and we're like, hell yeah, this is a blast. And then seeing him wrestle as himself in Japan, it's like, yeah, that was good, but it doesn't have the fire.
Pinch
all
his
the time.
cheeks when he's Muto, but you know, Muda is a badass.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want to get anywhere near him. He might just spit poison in my eyes. But I like that match a lot because it felt like what I want out of ECW sometimes, when they pare it down a little bit and make those moments mean a little bit more. And then, of course, there's 60,000 people here, so a hot crowd levels everything up a little bit. For me personally, when people are freaking out, it tends to add a little bit more energy to you as the viewer, even if it was, in 1997.
Good. Where's the smart marks at? All right. Fuck you.
I think it's time we smark it up. So what are some of the best moments of this show?
The return of Hakushi.
And the match was great.
That's a
that
tough
was
one.
super fun.
It was great. Yeah, that was like the better of the two big of the like three. I guess Muda's he's not a. We don't really consider him a big strong boy.
He's 230 at this point.
Yeah, but like of the, I guess we'll say three big strong boy matches. Is that the best big strong boy match on the show?
That was my favorite.
Yeah,
of the bunch.
I think so too, and I liked the other ones quite a bit more than you did. But like still, Hakushi and don't even remember the guy's name. That match also had a big fight feel on a smaller scale, just because of the fact that they were kind of both in the similar. They were old samurai boys.
It bugged me. What the hell is his name?
Ohara?
Oh yeah,
There we go. Okay. Like, what is it?
I didn't remember.
I mean, I just said it. That the 9 lariats and then doing a move and then falling down, I thought was a really cool moment. Because
Yeah,
like
it's the fighting spirit.
Choshu's lariats are supposed to be some of the most
Devastating.
lariats because that's literally his finisher.
Yeah.
So that he spams it a little bit. I think that's probably why I have an issue with Ricky Choshu because he's just like literally all he does.
Yeah.
But it's their finisher, so it's like
Make it mean something.
make it mean something.
Yeah.
It's like Suplex City, only Lariat.
Suplex City is like at least scary.
I don't know,
Lariat Land.
Land.
Yeah,
There we go.
Lariat
Thank
Land,
you.
yeah.
I'm like, what the hell starts with L?
Land of the Rising Lariats.
Liger Dragon.
I loved the callback. It's like
Oh,
literally
yeah.
2 minutes into the match, they're
The
like, "Well, let's do this, do the
Magistrel.
long magistrel." Like that's exactly what happened last time. You're not getting me this time, Ultimo.
I mean, I like most of the things on this show. There's a couple things that I just couldn't really be bothered by, but even some of the stuff where it's like, even the Super Liger Kanemoto thing, the crowd didn't give a shit about it, but I thought it was entertaining and didn't outstay its welcome.
And I know you said it's something that they still do to this day, but just that in that 8-man match, how the 3 guys held off their opponents while the pin was being made, just so there could be no bullshit.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever watched a multi-man in New Japan.
Yeah.
And I saw him do that, and I was like, that is so smart.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Because why would someone just standing on the apron allow his teammate to be... I think I mention it all the time whenever it happens when we're watching WWF or
Come on,
WCW. Like, why are you just standing on the apron?
Yeah.
Your guy's getting pinned.
Uh-huh. But at this point...
Like, if you don't get there in time, that's one thing.
yeah.
But, like...
There's so many
You gotta,
guys in the
you
ring.
gotta try, yeah. With 8 of them, someone's gonna get there, or
Yeah.
they should.
But at this point, I've seen probably like 300 of those matches. At least 200 of those matches. And I'm not always proud of it, but I pick and choose the ones that I watch in current New Japan these days. But They do know how to do the multi-man match better than a lot of places.
How about most disappointing? Let's roll Inoki out here, boys.
Yeah. Inoki, it's like he's going to be on the show, and it didn't take up too much time. There's things like the big bald boy match, the Goto and Nagasaki match, where it's like that didn't really feel like it needed to be here. Maybe
I feel like the ring entrance has lasted longer than the actual match for Inoki.
Yeah, that's
probably.
Yeah. He wants the glory, brother.
I mean, he got to hear Inoki Bombaye, which is always
I know.
That'd be like a half star in my book.
It's a great intro.
Chin up, Inoki. Chin up.
I mean, Chono in the Big Japan, why are we having him face a deathmatch guy from Big Japan?
I have the answer. Because they let him do that because they were gonna lose the tag belts. So they're like, all right, well, Chono was like, all right, well, give me a match against one of these Big Japan guys that I can just make look like a punk, and then we can drop the belts. And there's a little bit of an excuse. I had a match.
You can say that.
And he's obviously super over, too. But it definitely doesn't feel necessary outside of that Chono doesn't want a fucking full-on loss. It's like, hey, he lost, but he got his, solo glory moment as well. Of just looking like an unstoppable badass.
How about best performer of the night?
I mean, Muda really turned it on character-wise, for sure. And always much love to Otani, but Dragon and Liger did the damn thing that they've been that they've been promising for the last 6+ months or whatever. And they did it pretty perfectly as far as...
I agree.
As far as just the match was just plotted out to the best of its ability and executed to the best of its ability. Mm-hmm. Time is... It's good when, good wrestlers get the time to do the thing that they're good at.
How about most surprising?
Didn't really expect
Hakushi.
Yeah, I was going to say that's Hakushi again.
I'd say Hakushi, and then maybe that I didn't think Chono and those guys and Tenzan would lose the belts just because they're younger guys, but I didn't quite realize that, it's like, oh, well, this is the last glory spot. It's like, I don't think Hiroshi Tanahashi's ever going to win the big boy belt again, but he did it a couple years ago, and it kind of felt like, all right, that's the last one, and nobody was mad about it.
Yeah.
It's like, of course he gets to do this again.
Yeah, of course. I'm a big Tajiri fan from ECW and WWF days, so to get to see him before that stuff was really fun for me.
I'm not super familiar with him in that era, but I will be soon. That's something that's neat. But he obviously had a great match here.
I would put money that you will love him in the later days of ECW because him and Mikey Whipwreck are what is called the Unholy Alliance.
Sounds great.
And the Reverend dude from TNA.
Oh, James Mitchell.
Yes, he James Mitchell is their manager, and it's just super fun stuff that they do.
That's cool. That's it's exciting. I mean, you had me at Mikey Whipwreck. And obviously Tajiri had a great showing here, so I'm excited to see any of that brought into the United States.
And now for a look back even further into the history of wrestling.
The dusty finish.
Don Morocco had won the Eastern Championship Wrestling Heavyweight title during the summer of 1992 and would ride his winning wave into the Chestnut Cabaret in Philadelphia on November 16th, 1992 to face the Surfer, Mr. Sandman. Mr. Sandman, born 1963 in Philadelphia, would debut in 1989 in the Tri-State Wrestling Alliance, the precursor to ECW, along with working in Memphis. He would make his name facing the likes of J.T. Smith and Tony Stetson before losing his first couple of chances for the ECW belt against Jimmy Snuka and Johnny Hotbody. For his accomplishments, Mr. Sandman would be inducted into the Hardcore Hall of Fame. ECW would then start up their flagship television program, Hardcore TV, in 1993, and a former champion would decide it was time for him to get a rematch.
Sandman. I mean, it's so funny because it doesn't seem like it was that long ago. But we're already in 97, guys. And we've been seeing Sandman since 93. Funny that inducted into the Hardcore Hall of Fame. I don't see any other Hall of Fames next to that name.
He's hanging up in the rafters of the ECW arena.
As he should be. I will not dispute that.
Maybe he should actually be hanging up in the rafters.
Oh, no.
Like he was hanging on a cross.
Yeah. God, I still can't believe that they never put that out. Truly unbelievable.
Next week, Royal Rumble 1997. We ready to rumble?
Yeah.
do it.
We're going to Shawn Michaels' hometown. Or at least probably close enough to it.
The prodigal son
To Rumble.
turns a man.
We're setting, Rumble leads to Mania, guys.
The road to WrestleMania is about to begin, y'all.
Music from this week's show is The Score by Emerson, Lake and Powell. And we're going to play Shinya Hashimoto's music, Bakushi Sengun by Asumi Suzuki.
5-5.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just had to throw that in there.
So we do it so often.
If you like this episode or any of our other ones, please go out there and rate and review us on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, or wherever you find your podcasts at. Do as Michael says.
5 stars or no stars. Come on. Why are you going to waste your time being a jerk?
If you have any questions, comments, concerns,
Oh, we are headed to Texas. So, if you know any special food, beverage, anything like that from the Texas, specifically the San Antonio area, shoot us a message. Slide into our DMs.
Now, what is the official Alamo cocktail? There has to be an Alamo cocktail.
Davy Crockett bear hat.
Yeah, it's like raccoon. It's just
Raccoon. That's
It's
what I was
it's just a like raccoon hat full of whiskey.
Tequila. It's the South, you know.
Oh, okay.
Texas.
Mm-hmm.
They're close to Mexico, so they, as much as they want to bitch and moan about the border, they love their tequila.
Yeah. I mean, why wouldn't they? It's one of the better liquors.
But you can do those things on our email at wrestlinghistoryx@gmail.com or find us on X at WrestlingHistoX. That's Wrestling HISTO X. We'll talk to you next week.
Later.
Now it's like an emo screen name. X Wrestling Histo X. Just pretty funny.